Welcome back to the Level Up Your Inner Power podcast. Thank you so much for being here. We really value you and your time. I'm Danielle Flood.
And I'm Juliette Martine. And today's episode is all about you and all the ways you just keep on going even when you're tired and exhausted and overwhelmed, when what you sometimes need, without even realizing it, is to be able to receive some TLC. We're talking about the C word for this week of tender, loving care, and some of the ways we can care more deeply, not just for others, but for ourselves.
Okay, so before we get into it, Juliette, I just want us all to let out a big exhale together right now. Like, seriously, let's breathe. I feel like I need to step straight into a sauna, lie down on a massage table, and not even move for an hour because let me tell you, I was right there on the weekend. I was totally cooked. I just had such a solid week and I just thought to myself, you know what? I feel completely stuffed and I'm going to put myself into a massage. And you know what else I did? I did a massage and I thought to myself, you know what else I love? I love cupping. Have you ever had cupping done, Juliette?
Is that where you have all the spots on your back?
Yeah, like I look like I've got some sort of crazy disease, but it is such a relief from my body. Like when they gave me a massage and then they put all these suction cups on my back and it just felt like it was taking all the crap out of my body. And you know what? I was lying there. I spent like an hour and a half there and I hadn't felt no guilt. I wasn't overthinking. I was just giving myself the TLC that I actually was craving. Like sometimes you just got to give yourself a little bit of me time.
Oh, absolutely. And the reason why care has come up for us to explore this week is I kind of felt we needed to balance out the energy just a little bit from all the yang energies we've been focusing on so far. You know, we've been talking about commitment, having absolute certainty, getting clear about what we want to create in our life and aligning your consciousness with your desires and changing all the negative criticisms and self-talk. Mm-hmm. And most of that is a very active, engaged process, actively working with your energy to create positive shifts and changes to help you level up your energy to get more out of life. But for life to be sustainable, there always needs to be a balance.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to balance our energies between those yang, active ways of creating our life and also the yin, that very still energy, the energy of rest, that exhale, as you so beautifully put it, and the energy of quietude, letting go, receiving, just allowing things to happen rather than being in all the busyness of all the doing.
Oh, you're so right. And that key to balance, I mean, we struggle with balance in our day-to-day life. I was actually chatting to my husband last night. So it's quite ironic that we're actually talking about this because last night, timely, great word. But I was actually, because I got home from work and I was in a rush and he's just looking at me going, what is wrong with you? and I'm like, honey, I'm just feeling so overwhelmed right now with everything I've got on my plate. And when I started listing out aloud everything that was on my plate, it just hit me how much I was doing just day to day. Like my days are full. I work full time. We're building Luyet. We're doing the podcast. I train at the gym 5 mornings a week and I get up at 5 every day. I come home from work. I cook for the family. Then there's the dog. Then there's the laundry. Then there's keeping the house somewhat in order. And honestly, the list goes on and on, like many of us juggle every day. I'm not saying I'm some superhero here. We all live this crazy life. It's like I'm constantly on the go, spinning all these plates in the air. And sometimes I stop and think, hang on, what am I actually doing all of this for? Like everyone else, myself, both? Like who are we doing it for? And I know some of you right now are nodding along because you're the same. You're one of those people who's a chronic overdoer and not even realizing that you're a chronic overdoer, right? You know that saying, if you want something done, give it to the busiest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you know it.
Yep, I know it.
And that's most of us, right? We're the ones people rely on because we keep pushing, keep carrying, keep doing.
Yep.
But here's the thing, it catches up with us. And if we don't stop to create the space to breathe, to just be, then eventually all those spinning plates, they're going to come crushing down. So I think it's really important for us to talk about what it actually looks like to start loosening that grip on our day-to-day and all of the stuff that we do so that we stop living in this constant overdrive and to give ourselves permission to rest, to be still, and to choose differently and actually be conscious about the choices that we make.
Yeah. My nature is definitely to be busy and to do. I'm a doer. I'm the busiest person in the room you give the stuff to get it done, to take care of. Don't leave things to the last minute. And, the point where I can lose sight of where my energy's at and when I need to give myself some care. Maybe you're that kind of person, you push yourself to the limit. Maybe you haven't stopped to take a deep breath for a while, or you're simply really good at keeping up with all the demands from family, from work, maybe aging parents or grandchildren, or helping out with volunteer work, or you're simply burning the candle at both ends. And that was me actually on Friday morning. It's funny, you and I have both had a weekend like this.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something, in the cosmos at the moment, but Friday morning I was up at 6 o'clock, out the door, heading to the local hot yoga studio to do a class, which thankfully is only, literally a 2-minute drive. But I was sweating my ass off moving through this vinyasa yoga class, a hot yoga class, doing all the asana postures for 45 minutes, really pushing my body, sweat dripping off me. And then, finally, thank goodness, we reached the end of the class and I'm laying on my back on my mat in Shavasana, my arms stretched out by my sides, my palms facing up, and I'm just laying there completely surrendered. And the teacher who was taking the class mentioned, you might like to place some blocks under your thighs if you have any back strain as you're lying here so you can really relax. And without me opening my eyes, she came to me and she placed a block under each of my legs, under my thighs. And I was already in this surrendered position. And when she did that, it really cracked me open in a way that I could not hold back the tears. There was something about her supporting me and taking the load off and showing me some tender, loving care. She didn't know me from a bar of soap. I'm new to that yoga studio. But this complete stranger just supporting me in a caring way.
Yeah.
It totally cracked me open because I suddenly realized with the tears that I had been carrying a really heavy load for a lot of people working in a caring profession as a healer and a spiritual guide, mentor. And maybe you're in a caring role yourself in your work, or if not in your work, in your family or in your friendship circle. There's so many ways that we can be caring for others. Maybe you're caring for customers or clients, or the next door neighbor who's unwell at the moment, or a good friend who needs a bit of support and emotional sustenance. And when you're giving to everyone else, sometimes we forget to receive.
Yes, totally, Juliet. I know that in many sort of situations where people, and usually in a yoga studio or in a meditation group, or, you just relaying what you experienced on Friday made me think about when I went to a breathwork session, and the guy that was running the course, he just had this ability to connect just with his like looking straight into your eyes, like he can see into your soul. And that made me releasing all of these tears as well. And sometimes it's just holding space for people that really, it's like they're giving you this big warm hug, isn't it? And you don't even know them, but they give you this big warm hug. Like, can you think about any of those times in this moment where you felt that from someone that you don't even know, like as a complete stranger has been able to give you this love and tenderness and support that you don't even know how they've given it to you, but you've just felt it, and you feel seen, and it's just beautiful.
I was just going to say, sometimes the care we need is simply to be seen. In that moment, the yoga teacher saw that my back was a bit strained and I needed a bit of support, and she gave me what I needed, but she saw me in that moment. I mean, who gives care to you, Danielle? You're a busy person, as you say. You've got all these plates spinning in the air, all these balls juggling. Who gives care to you?
I'm lucky, and I've got a lot of people in my life who care about me. You know, my husband, my children, I've got amazing friends and family. They all give to me in their own ways. But, you know, sometimes it doesn't always land in the way that I need it, right? You know what I mean? Like sometimes what I actually need is tenderness, to be seen, you know, some patience, or just space to crumble a little bit. You know, sometimes you just want to crumble and someone just hears you. And no one else can give that to me in the exact way I crave, which means sometimes I need to be the person who gives that TLC towards myself, because sometimes you can't express what you need, so you need to give it to yourself.
Absolutely. And not everyone has people around them to care for them. A lot of us are the primary caregiver ourselves. We're giving to other people. And we also may not have a partner or close family or friends. We might be living overseas, away, or, you know, interstate, away from family and friends. Or a lot of people I work with these days, and people that I know in my own social circle, are becoming very isolated.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no one in our life who is there to care for us. And so we do need to make sure we create that balance for ourselves. And you can tell when things have gotten out of balance, you know, when you're way overdue to be on the receiving end of life, when you're starting to feel stressed or grumpy, you know, short-tempered, the fuse is firing pretty quickly, or you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious about what the future looks like and how you're going to cope. Or if you're becoming very emotionally reactive to what's going on around you because your cup has kind of reached that point of being so cram-packed, full to overflowing, and not in the happy, healthy, good kind of abundant way we'd like to be overflowing, but in that stressed kind of way, then, you know, that can be a really good indicator that it's time to press the pause button and give yourself some care.
I know I have people in my life that will tell me when I've reached that point of complete overwhelm. So, you know, my husband is great with that as well, because he'll be like, "Are you okay, babe?" He knows my signs. He probably sometimes knows them better than I do, and he makes me stop. But if I think about the signs for me, like the very first sign for me is that feeling of overwhelm and anxiety. And that's because I've suffered chronic anxiety in the past. I can literally now feel it in my body instantly. Like it's this instant signal going off telling me that I need to stop and give myself some love. That's my biggest sign. And then after that, there's so many other things that can creep in. As you said, I get grumpy. Everything feels too much. I get stressed. My thoughts are all over the place. I'll start a million things and don't finish anything because I'm just like trying to control things, and all I actually really need to do is stop. And they're all of my red flags that I'm running on empty That's the time where I need to pause and breathe and actually put some of the care back into myself.
What are some of your indicators? It might be that you find yourself really like binging on television and not wanting to do anything. Maybe you find that you're avoiding doing things because you're so overloaded and really need to take a break, or maybe you're reaching for an extra glass of wine every night to calm your system down because you haven't actually been able to take some time out to care for yourself and you can't kind of figure out how to make that happen. So an extra glass or 2 or 3 of wine to help decompress at the end of the day is your way of caring for yourself. But of course, that longer term creates habits that are not really serving us. So what are some of the ways that you care for yourself, Danielle? Like if it's not coming from your husband or your friends knocking on the door saying you need to, take a chill pill, what do you do to care for yourself?
Look, honestly, for me, it's a bit of a mix. And sometimes it's just as simple as me taking myself out for a walk. Like I know at work during the day, if I feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm a little bit overwhelmed, I'll just go outside and get some fresh air, and just helps me reset. And even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it just really helps me reconnect back in. And then sometimes it might be meditation, where I can just drop into stillness and just give my mind and body a chance to breathe. Or another thing that I love doing is connecting with my friends and my family and playing with my dog. And, that fills me up in such a different way. It really fills my soul up when I'm connecting with other people. And then really, if I'm being honest, sometimes it's just...
Let's be honest here, shall we?
Let me tell you, sometimes I'll be on that couch for like 3 hours binging the latest series of whatever it is that I find. And I'm just totally zoned out, because sometimes caring for me doesn't look like actually doing anything productive or being spiritual at all. Sometimes it's just giving myself permission to just switch off and do absolutely nothing.
Please tell me you're wearing fluffy slippers and pajamas while you're doing that.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got a bowl of popcorn.
Excellent. I'm right there with you.
For sure.
For me, it's kind of a bit of a spectrum. And as you're listening, you might find that you sit somewhere on the spectrum. There's active ways of caring for ourselves, and there's really yin, still ways of caring for ourselves. And I guess, like anything in life, in one end of the spectrum, we can have some of the really yummy, pampering, feel-good ways of caring for ourselves, like you've mentioned, having a massage or going to a spa, getting your nails done. I know some people really enjoy that, having a facial, or, as you say, chilling out, having a pajama day, even though, there's a truckload of other things you could be doing, just, putting the hand up and saying, stop, no, I need this time to myself, just giving yourself permission to take some time out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can have in kind of the more yin ways of slowing down, like spending time in nature. You mentioned going for a walk, but really spending time in nature, like having that complete downtime where you're not like out in nature going on a hike and being active. You're walking barefoot in the forest, forest bathing.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting on a rock and connecting with the earth. You're laying on the grass, looking up at the clouds and just feeling the rhythm of your heartbeat. Having that downtime of total quietude and stillness. I mean, when was the last time you took some time out without picking up your phone, tending to your kids or your partner or your cat or your dog, without scrolling or chatting or taking a selfie or talking to anyone, without pushing yourself in any way to show up for anyone or anything other than to simply sit and give to yourself? When was the last time you truly had half an hour or an hour simply sitting with your soul and listening to what's going on inside of you. It was really only when I allowed myself to be in that stillness in that yoga studio on Friday where I realized how much I'd been carrying.
Yeah.
And in that yin kind of way, the more passive end of the spectrum, sometimes the care that we need can even be something as simple as having more compassion for ourselves, another C word.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For us to give ourselves some of the energy of kindness and compassion. Danielle, we spoke last time about all the ways in which we negatively judge and criticize ourselves.
And that's so easy for us to do. It's so easy for us to criticize and be negative towards ourselves. Yet we find it challenging to have compassion for ourselves.
Yeah. And sometimes the compassion we need to have when, we're spinning all the plates and juggling all the balls in the air and everything's go, 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 and we can't, find a moment to catch our breath. Sometimes the loving compassion and care we can give ourselves is simply, you know what? That's okay. We're human.
Yeah.
That's how it is sometimes. And to put down the stick we've been beating ourselves up with, to have more kindness and softness with ourselves, to have that sense of compassion that, you know what, we're doing the best we know how, all things considered at the moment. That can be another really beautiful way we can care for ourselves in the moment, to give ourselves the nurturing and care and love and kindness and compassion that we need in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely, Juliet. And as you were saying all those things about being in nature, really grounding yourself in the earth. I mean, I think about going to the beach and just sitting on the sand and listening to the waves and just having that moment of stillness. And even as you were giving all of those examples, just the feeling in my body of what that would feel like if I gave that to myself was very, very powerful. And it also made me think about all the reasons why we don't take care of ourselves. And I really want us just to sort of talk about that for a sec. Like, why don't we stop to take care of ourselves? And one of the things is the timing, right? Like, when do we actually care for ourselves? Are you the kind of person who just keeps pushing, keeps saying yes, keeps holding it all together until you literally can't anymore, until you hit breaking point? And that breaking point is like you could get sick or you get so overwhelmed that you can't think straight. I mean, I know for me, my anxiety just absolutely goes through the roof and I completely fall apart. And I know many of you have a similar experience in those meltdowns because your system just cannot keep going. So what would it take for you to not wait until you hit that breaking point, to actually have a bit more of a priority to establish ways you care about yourself, to give yourself permission to rest and receive before that massive meltdown?
Oh, I love that. What would it take to give yourself permission? I love that.
And I know it can feel impossible sometimes. Trust me, I really get it. It took me from having a complete mental and emotional breakdown about 12 years ago to really understand the importance of self-care and self-love. We just make up so many reasons as to why we have to keep going. Life is busy. People rely on us. The responsibilities never end. There's so many reasons why. But if we don't prioritize ourselves, then you're just going to be running on fumes. And sooner or later, that tank's going to be so empty. So really ask yourself, what would it look like if you started choosing to care for you sooner?
Great question. It's that old oxygen mask principle. If we don't, look after ourselves first, we're not going to be able to function and perform for anyone else either.
So true. Yeah.
I think a lot of us tell ourselves we can't afford to take a break, but that's always a false economy, because if we don't give ourselves the downtime, if we're not proactive in that process to really allow our shoulders to drop and to let go of all the things we've been carrying. And I'm talking about not just the busyness of our lives, but all the doing we do for other people, and also the load we're carrying of all the fears that we're holding on to, and the worries and the concerns we have for ourselves, our life, for other people, for what's going on in the world at the moment. Eventually our soul is going to say, you know what? You're not listening to the little tap on the shoulder. You're not taking notice of the warning signs with, not quite coping here or there and having little outbursts, or however it's showing up, the little cracks appearing in our state of being. So eventually our soul is going to force us to stop, whether we like it or not. It's going to force us to stop in a way that we cannot ignore it, because the reality is we're not meant to be like machines. We're not meant to keep going on and on and on. I'm going to show my age here, like the ever-ready bunny who just kept going on and on and on, marching off into the distance.
I remember that bunny.
Oh, thank God someone else. Please drop us a comment saying you know what the heck I'm talking about the ever-ready bunny. But we're not meant to be like machines, where you just plug in and the only downtime you get is when you're sleeping at night. We need more, particularly in today's environment.
We absolutely do. And it made me think about another reason why I never used to take time for myself. And I'm pretty sure you would feel the same. We think it's being selfish. Oof, this is a big one. And I hear it often with people, my friends, family, that if I take time for myself, well, what are you doing? You're just being so selfish. Like, you've got a family, you've got things to do, you got to do this, you got to do that, you've got all this stuff that you've got to do, and what, you're just going to take time out to go for a massage, or you're going to take time out to go sit at the beach and listen to the waves. I mean, that's so selfish. How can you be so selfish? Oh, it's so huge.
Yeah. Or worst crime of the century, you're going to take time out to do what? To do nothing.
Oh my God, how dare you? What are you thinking?
And it's the greatest illusion, because we think that when we're doing nothing, we're not doing, that's that yang energy. We think that when we're doing nothing, that nothing's going on. But actually what we're doing is we're doing no things, which means we're actually being. We're being in the stillness, and that is doing something. It's a yin process where we're recharging, regenerating, replenishing, reconnecting, all of the words, realigning, because we've been disconnected and out of alignment and out of balance. We're rebalancing. We're getting back into that internal alignment by stopping the things that we're doing and doing no things for a while. And that's not being selfish. To your point, Danielle, that's being self-responsible.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And another reason I find we often neglect ourselves and don't pause to give ourselves the care that we need. And this is a tough one for us to admit, but I think for a lot of us, we don't feel worthy of it. We don't feel worthy of receiving. And so to care for ourselves is not only a selfish thing, but it kind of presses on our button of self-worth. Do I really deserve to have time out? And, that could be a whole conversation in itself. But I just want to highlight that because, we take care of the things that we value. We take care of the things that we appreciate. And so if you're not taking care of something, whether it's your car, whether it's making your bed in the morning, whether it's your skin, whether it's your diet, whether it's your friendships, whether it's your sexual intimacy, whether it's name anything, whether it's your finances and your taxes, if you're not taking care of it, usually it's because we're not valuing it. And so if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not allowing myself to give back to myself, then maybe there's an issue around self-worth and self-value that would be worthwhile leaning into just a little bit.
Yeah, that's That is a big one, Juliet. And I think about the times in my life, and I'm sure you all are thinking about the times in your life where you put yourself at the very bottom of the list. You did everything else for everyone around you, for everything, and then you put yourself right at the bottom. And it makes you question why you don't value yourself more. Like it's a really big question to ask yourself. Why aren't you as valuable as anyone else before you, you know?
And, Danielle, just as you were talking with your husband about what you needed, the next day after my yoga experience, I was chatting with my partner and we were planning our weekend ahead. And I said to him, you know what? I think I need to take a day off, but not just a day off from work. I need to have a full day of communing with my inner self, with my soul, with my spirit. And I realized I needed to have a Sabbath day, a day of completely letting go, letting God, spirit, source, my higher self, fairies, pixie dust, I don't care what you call it, but letting some higher power carry the load for a while. I really felt I needed to hand everything over, everything I'd been carrying, hand it over to spirit for me to completely let go of any and all forms of control. And, I'm looking down at my wrist right now and I have a tattoo on my wrist that I got on my 50th birthday. And it's all about handing over and letting go of control and letting God do it. It says, thy will be done. Mm-hmm. And I really realized I needed to have that complete yin experience of care, the extreme end of the spectrum when it comes to taking care of ourselves, which is total surrender, handing everything over and not just taking the load off, but actually surrendering it to spirit by having a Sabbath day.
Yeah.
Taking 24 hours out. And, we've lost touch with the purpose of Sabbath. If we're not religious, which I'm not, I'm highly spiritual, but not religious. I don't have a regular Sabbath day because there's no sort of religious rhythm to the week that creates that Sabbath day for me. And some people do, but even still that Sabbath day can be spent in the busyness of going to church or doing things for other people. And I really feel like the true purpose of the Sabbath day, on the seventh day, even God took a break, God rested. And I think on the seventh day, whatever your seventh day is, it can be really valuable to give yourself a complete and total break where you are doing no work of any kind. You are completely switching off everything, handing everything over, communing with your higher self and your spirit and your source to allow spirit to support you.
Yeah.
To really invite spirit to take control, to help bring you the healing you need, the replenishment you need, the restoring energy that you need to help bring you back into a balance and a more aligned state with your higher self. And maybe you can't take a whole day out of every week to let go and let God, but maybe you can take a mini Sabbath on a more regular basis through, and I think that's what meditation can provide us, depending on the type of meditation I'm doing. Meditation can be a wonderful way to quiet my mind, bring myself back into that state of stillness, calm all that busy yang energy, reconnect with the quietude of my breath and my heart and my beingness. But I want to put it out there, if you really want to take your self-care to a whole other level, I invite you to contemplate having a Sabbath day of total letting go, letting God, to really commune with yourself.
Yeah, can we take it more than once a week? Because I would really like to take a Sabbath day on a couple of days during the week. But you're so right, though, taking a Sabbath day where you actually surrender and you let go and you're present and you listen and you tune inwards. It's so important. And we just don't give ourselves permission to do that. And so that's a really great reminder for us all, Juliet.
And I just want to say, one of the things that happens when we do that, and whether it's through meditation or even the Shavasana part of a yoga practice at the end of a yoga class, is that it is the surrender, the letting go. One of the things that happens is magic happens in that space. That's where we've handed over control, spirit comes in because we're no longer trying to drive the show. And that's when new ideas come to us. That's when inspiration drops in out of nowhere. That's when we actually get out of the way and things happen without us doing anything that actually moves us forward. It's the unexpected things that come into that space. But if we don't create the space in the first place for ourselves, then there's no room. Life is so cram-packed full. Even if, we're taking an hour out and we're just scrolling on our phone, we're still doing. There's no room for God or your inspiration to drop into that space. So that, we've got the full spectrum of care here now.
So we really wanted to pause and take a breath with you in this episode to help you check in and actually notice how you're doing, to notice where your energy is. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly gave yourself some TLC? Like really gave yourself some TLC, not just a quick bubble bath or zoning out in front of Netflix, but real intentional care. What would shift if you gave yourself permission to take a Sabbath day every now and again? Maybe once a quarter, once a month, once a week. A full day where you can totally switch off from the noise of the world around you, not just to rest or relax, but to actually go deeper, to listen, to commune with your spirit and your soul. What might your spirit be longing to tell you if you created the space to hear it? And here's another question for you. If you connected with your heart space right now and asked, what do I really need in this moment to care for myself? What comes up for you? Is it sleep? Is it stillness? Is it movement? Is it play? Is it nourishment? Is it connection with someone who sees you? Or maybe just solitude so you can breathe again? And here's a big one. What would it take for you to make that kind of care a non-negotiable? Not something you squeeze in if you happen to have time, but something you actually build your life around. Because everything else flows better when you're full and not empty. So here's your soul challenge for the week ahead. Each day, pause for 5 deep breaths and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What do I really need in this moment? Then choose one small but powerful act of care this week. Maybe it's a walk in nature, a tech-free hour, time with a friend, or simply stillness. Make it a non-negotiable. And at the end of the week, reflect. Reflect on what shifted when I chose myself. How did it feel to receive my own care? And to support the soul challenge this week, here's your soul mantra. I give myself permission to care for myself. I'm worthy of my own attention, love, tenderness, and compassion. I allow myself to be guided by my soul, to take time out to listen to my inner guidance more deeply.
So beautiful. I can't wait to hear how you go with the Soul Challenge this week. And we really want to thank you so much for joining us today because we care about you.
Yes, we do.
And we really hope you found this conversation helpful. If you have, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button and share a comment to let us know what's resonated most for you today so we can create even more helpful episodes for you in the future. Until next time, go really gently, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.